What's up, guys? I'm Brian and this is Smokey Uncuffed. Today I am going to talk about a law we get asked about a bunch, and it's concealed carry stuff, about guns, how you want to transport your guns, what you should do if you get stopped. So let's just dive right in. I mean, honestly, in Oklahoma, I don't know what the numbers are, but a huge amount of the population has concealed carry licenses. And come this November, you don't even have to have a concealed carry license. It's just legal carry. So, and by legal carry, that you can openly carry a gun in Oklahoma. You can put one on your hip and wear it about. Now, then there's going to be places that it's still illegal. Schools, most of the time hospitals, many places like that. A lot of churches won't allow it, and I mean, they can still post not to let, for you not to have a weapon in their facility, which they're right. And am I for it? You know, you get minimal training in the concealed carry class, and it's very little, but it's something. I mean, it at least shows that you know how to manipulate the weapon and how to load it properly, and just good practices with the gun, so you're not covering people and pointing at them with the gun whenever you just have it out. So I'm all for people being able to carry a weapon. I mean, the right to bear arms is a wonderful right, and I absolutely believe everybody should be able to. But I think there should be some education along with it, because I mean, honestly, you'd be amazed at the people that don't know much about firearms, are afraid of them. And once you teach somebody properly, there's nothing to be afraid of. It's, I mean, true, it's a weapon, but it's just a little handheld tool. I mean, I don't know how else to explain that other than with the proper education on it, can be very useful. I mean, it's something that will protect you. Now, the open carry, I'll be honest, if you want to open carry it. I'm not. Even when I was still working for the patrol, when I was off duty carrying a gun, it was hidden. You didn't know I had one. Simple reason. If you're in, we'll just use a bank, because you always hear about banks being robbed. And you're number 2 in line in this line over here, and there's a guy standing back behind you in the line beside you, and he starts looking around and he goes, that guy's got a gun. Guess who's the first one to go? Secondly, the reason I'm not a big fan of open carry is it goes back to the education part. I mean, if you're aware of your surroundings at all times, I mean, doing law enforcement 20 years, you'll see officers with their hand on their hip or covering the top of their gun. That is simply because we're always not 100% certain what's behind us, and I don't want you walking up behind me and pulling my gun out of my holster. So by putting my hand on top of it, you're not going to pull it out. That was always a big misconception that people, you know, they always throw out there just throw out their stuff like, oh, look, Barney Fife got a gun, hand on his gun. Not really the reason. It's more of a safety issue. You're putting your hand on top of it so you know nobody can pull that thing out. And I mean, granted, we had fancier holsters that had built-in safeties where it was hard to get out if it wasn't right there on your hip, but those can be beat. I mean, I know law enforcement officers that train for that stuff, and they can come and get your gun out of your holster faster than you can pull your gun from your holster. Scary. And so with that, I have to believe that there are criminals out there that will put the work in their trade and learn how to do this stuff just so they can always stay on top and stay ahead of the law. You know, I mean, that's kind of out there, but they're there. And something kind of more on that topic. I mean, I've seen people carrying open, and I'll be at like a Walmart or a gas station, and the holster they have is just a bucket holster. The gun just slides in there. Anybody could pull it out. I mean, it's nothing, and because they clearly are not aware of their surroundings. I mean, because you can get right up behind them, they don't even think about it being there. And with me, I've been carrying one on my hip. I was always aware who was around my gun because I didn't want anybody having that thing in their hand but me. So again, that just has to do with training and being aware of what can happen. So now then, with that said, I mean, here's a situation I ran into that I stopped a guy, and I think it was Alabama, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, somewhere down there. Stopped a guy. He's got a gun shoved in between his seats. I can see the butt of the pistol. And I asked him about it. I said, you know, you got a concealed carry license. No, I'm from Alabama, and we don't have to have them there. Well, okay. Problem is you're in Oklahoma, and here you have to have a license to carry a gun like that. So now what? So now, I mean, legally, he's broke the law in a bad way. So I'd stopped him for speeding, and I sat there and talked to him for a little bit. He was one of them that I pulled out, had to come back, have a seat with me. And we talked about it, and I said, look, here's the deal. Unload the gun, put the magazine in the glove box, put the gun in the console, or vice versa. Just keep them separated while you're in this state. Because, I mean, if you're going to carry a loaded weapon here, you do have to at least do it legally. So I didn't do anything to him. I mean, it was just one of those things. He's probably just used to carrying one in his vehicle, didn't think about it. And something he should have thought about. I mean, it's one of those things that when you cross those state lines, you better know the laws in the state you're going. And so, I mean, those licenses, there are many states that they work in many states. Like Texas, for example. I mean, we can cruise right on down to Texas. Texas can cruise right on up here. We accept licenses across the board there. And there's several other states that do that. Not all of them do. And I mean, and I'm not knocking anything on the East Coast. I mean, there's a lot of states on the East Coast, they just don't allow them. And fair enough, that's their decision. But again, I think you ought to be able to carry one if you're legally doing so. That's just kind of my own opinion about it. And so, but anyway, the whole point is, if you can legally do it, we don't have a problem. Law enforcement doesn't have a problem with it if you're legally doing it, because we're carrying them. I mean, so why should it be okay for me to have something to protect myself and not for you? Now, with that said, you really have to be careful of that situation. If, for any kind of reason, you have an illicit drug or been drinking and have alcohol in the vehicle, now it's an issue. Now you put a firearm with something that should be a misdemeanor that you're doing, and when you put a firearm with it, it becomes a felony. So just know all your laws whenever you're messing with these things. So now then, what should you do in case you're stopped on a traffic stop and you're legally carrying a gun and you get stopped? So number one thing I always tell everybody, put both hands up on that steering wheel when we walk up. That is 100% comfort to us, because there's only one thing in your body that can hurt me while you're sitting in that car, and it's your hands. Whether that means you're punching, you got a knife, you got a gun, whatever, those are the only two things that can do it. And so you got them up here on a steering wheel, we're great. So, I mean, the best way I've seen people do it is they have their hands on the steering wheel and they go, just going to let you know in advance, I have a gun, I have a concealed carry license. Well, in Oklahoma, when you present your driver's license, if you have a concealed carry license, you're supposed to present that license at the same time. Now, that doesn't always happen, no, because everybody doesn't know the law. And, which, I mean, that's the scary thing for these guys now. Come November, I don't know how. I mean, if people don't tell you they have a gun in the car, I guess they really don't have to, because they can legally carry. I mean, I don't know exactly how that's going to work. I'm glad I'm not dealing with it anymore. But I've read part of the law, and right now our law is a little messed up. They're going to have to do some amendments to it, because right now, the way I read it, you can load up a rifle and go marching down the middle of the street, and as long as you're not doing anything unlawful, it's kind of untouchable. And I know that's not how they meant for it to be written or how it to be taken. But to me, when I read it, that's kind of how it's taken. And in fairness, something may have changed with our law before the end of the session, the legislative session. Because right now, it's out. I mean, session's out. So they won't be able to pick up and do anything to it until next session. So I don't know. Hopefully that may changes to it, because to me, the way it reads, it was, man, it was going to be Old West down here. But, so I mean, back to the traffic stop, as long as you did that, and in fairness, even when I got people that said, hey, you know, I've got a concealed carry, it's right there in my console, or it's right over there. It was just kind of one of those things, kind of a feel thing for me. If you had the concealed carry license and you showed me where the gun was at and didn't make any quick motions towards it, a lot of times I just let you sit there, because odds are, if you're going to tell me about the gun you have, you're probably not going to try to use the gun on me. Because why would you make me aware that you have a gun if you're about to do something heinous? Now then, that's not 100% across the board. I've had people that I've stopped that were agitated, boy, I can't talk, agitated or wound up. And, you know, I stopped them. They had all the proper credentials, but they were just on edge. So in that situation, I just separate them from the gun. Why don't you step out of the car and come back and have a seat with me? And we'll sit in the car and talk. Now his gun's up there, we're back here, I'm the only one with a gun. And that's the way we love it, to be the only one with a gun in a conversation, because let's be honest, we always want to win, we always want to go home. So the ensuing questions after this, I'm sure that I'm going to get tons of comments. One of them I was going to get asked if I ever shot anybody. So no, thankfully not. I was very close several times, but thankfully not. And you know, the next one will be, has anybody ever drawn a gun on me? I've had them try. And by try, what I mean is I've made a stop where somebody was speeding on the interstate. I get up to the car, the passenger's digging under the seat frantically. And I stop at the door and I keep yelling at the passenger to show me your hands. And he wasn't listening, and he kept digging under that seat. And I said, show me your hands, show me your hands. And he's just ignoring me. So I pulled the gun, pointed it in the window, and I said, show me your hands now. And so hands come up. I have him roll out of the door, and he was trying to get to a pistol that had slid up under the seat. So, I mean, obviously you can see where this went. They didn't have a good day. They both took a ride with me after it was all said and done. But, I mean, that stuff's out there, and so you just got to be very alert. I've had somebody pull a knife on me, and that one's a no-brainer. He was actually a legal distance from me that I could have probably shot him, but I didn't feel enough threatened to do so. He was at the bottom of a ditch. I was at the top up by the road. He had to run uphill at me to stab me, and he was intoxicated. So I did draw down on him and told him he was going to drop it or I was going to drop him. I mean, one of those things. And he dropped the knife and took him into custody without much problem. And so, I mean, those things are out there, and I just want to answer those questions before the comments start coming in. And those are just two of them. I mean, I've got several, but those are two of them that just stand out in my head right now. So guys, that's about it for today. I just kind of wanted to cover that, kind of give you a heads up on, you know, if you get stopped, this is what you do, and kind of my opinion of the concealed carry license. And so, I mean, another one that I just thought of with that is, okay, so do I have a concealed carry license? No. Now, in Oklahoma, when I retire as a trooper, I get a retired carry license. So I mean, I guess I do have a license, but it's a retired trooper's license. So I just go qualify. I still have to go qualify every year with the patrol, and I still get to carry a gun. So anyway, that's about it, guys. I don't have anything else for you today. Be watching the next few videos coming up. It may be on another trip that we're going to do, or here in the near future. We're going to go someplace pretty cool, and I'm going to take some video while we're there. So be watching for those, and if y'all haven't subscribed yet, please do so, and I'll see y'all next time.